Hello and welcome back to Fortnite Creative, brought to you by Rocket Rabbit Commentaries and a map only by Rocket Rabbit Commentaries. You can only find this map here because I made it and I can't share it. And in this, the end of the carrot of the Fortnite Creative series, we're going to kill the Frost Giant once and for all. This map is called the Frost Giant of Steel Mountain, and now...
I still find it really weird that you don't have the ability to share it. I really should look into that because I know for a fact that you don't need to be an Epic employee to share maps because there's my nephews are really into Fortnite and they've been playing very preoccupied with variants of Death Run, and Death Run started off as an alternate game mode for Gary's mod, and it's relatively easy to put into Fortnite since it's Fortnite uses a different physics system, but it's still using the similar principles that Gary's mod, Counter Strike, and Source Engine all utilize. Like your maximum jump is usually about 1.5 tiles.
Right.
So it's very easy to port over game modes from Gary's mod and Source into Fortnite.
Oh, you can make a wide variety of games that are recognizable all throughout video gamedom just using the logic system and even using like simple platforming, especially games that let you jump in the first place, like Call of Duty. I mean, this is comparable to like third-person Call of Duty because you can jump in Call of Duty as well, and also making your own maps and stuff.
Yeah, but I'm not asking for people to make Nuketown. Nuketown is already available on consoles. I'm asking people to make Deck 17.
Sure. Well, it's, leave that to people who know Deck 17. Like, I'm making Time Splitter Streets level because I know Time Splitter Streets level. Like, I've even made maps in Time Splitters Future Perfect that are supposed to emulate Time Splitters 2 Streets level, just going from one end to the other. Actually imitating one of the one-player like solo mini-game missions that you have to do in the game, but I made my own, saying like Cortez lost his lunchbox and he has to get it back from the evil snowmen who are trying to fuck with him.
All right. I noticed that as we keep going, the enemy spawns have been less prevalent.
Well, it also depends on where you are. I mean, for example, that guy just spawned in because I got within the 16-tile radius that I need to be in order for enemies to spawn.
I didn't know that you put a distance limiter on it. That's actually really nice.
Well, you have to, and I made it really wide so that when the enemies spawn, they'll just start running after you, except for that guy because he's a fucking idiot. It keeps the map interesting. Like, you want to be engaged as often as humanly possible. And also showing why there is a no admittance sign right outside of this lighthouse. Okay, well, I see some item boxes here. All right, well, I'm sure I've got to stock up in the zombie apocalypse, And oh.
That's very nice. I would not have found this one, though, and it would have pissed me off greatly.
See, I'm glad you said that, because I was wondering about that. I'm wondering, okay, the other 4 power switch locations have conditioned the player to saying, okay, I have to solve a dungeon first, but what if I made it so that one of the power switches is just right in the open? Like, will you find it?
But that's not in the open, Cloud, is the thing. It's actually
it's kind of in the open.
It's relatively well hidden. It is in a set piece, but it's in a very small set piece, and a majority of the other small set pieces that you've shown off have specifically been loot locations. And although the loot in that particular area is pretty bad, that's usually going to draw players away from it because bad loot isn't all that interesting to interact with. I think what's happening for these enemy spawns is that because you have them on an elevated surface, they have difficulty actually finding ways to get down without damaging themselves.
Actually, I don't think I let the enemies take falling damage. I think enemies can take falling damage only if you turn on one of the parameters that says whether or not they do. Otherwise,
but they still have to be scripted to either recognize that or ignore elevation differences. And I'm pretty sure that's what's happening with the explosive zombies that we saw slightly earlier, with it standing there, unable to interact with you simply because it's on an elevated platform.
Well, I mean, also enemies are triggered by line of sight. That enemies that spawn are not necessarily aggroed to your position. They have to see you by line of sight first.
All right.
But because of proximity
he
based,
was not looking at you, so
no,
that's
he was
another
not.
thing.
He was being an idiot, which means I get to shoot him. But of course, once you shoot the enemy, then he's aggroed and starts following you wherever you are. You also get little experience points drops every about like 15 minutes or so. Something like that the game will help you level up just by being in creative and being in the world. Yay, the door opens now. But what is inside? It's a portal. Where does the portal
Frost
go?
portal teleport. Now, can the zombies actually use the frost portal teleport?
I don't think so, but the enemies don't spawn close enough in order to actually utilize the teleport, unless they follow you, but you probably should not be letting these guys follow you. This is the Frost Giant's lair, and big boy right there is the Frost Giant. He is just a different palette swap of the Brute, but he's got 5,000 health points, and he deals 35 damage every time he punches you. So you can only get hit by this guy 3 times before he kills you. And he's also surrounded by a cadre of projectile-throwing ice zombies. Also, be careful not to touch the edges of the arena, because the edges
of... All right.
Those are damage zones on the end. If you touch any of the edges, you're going to take damage. You better get your physics logic reasoning all set up, stay in motion in order to avoid the projectiles, and shoot around in circles, and that's how you defeat the Frost Giant.
All right. Now, is there a set number of these added enemies?
No, these guys will continue spawning as long as you're in the arena.
I don't know, dude. I'm pretty sure that like 5 waves of them would probably be not enough. That way, there's actually a reason to take them out.
Oh, you definitely are incentivized to take them out, because, of course, if you get hit too much, then you die. But dying is not so bad, because all you got to do is just pick up your loot again. There's my flounder, and the ammo is all here too, so you pick up your 1,000 bullets of ammo, pick up a flopper, so you got something to heal with, and, yeah, just try to do a little better this time. This little game that I've designed is relatively well forgiving. Death is not so bad. I mean, that is unless you're not running against the clock. I mean, if you only had 5 minutes left, then you would start, really sweating.
Now, you mentioned he has 5,000 HP, so you can't edit specific characteristics of these mobs. But given that he's called the Frost Giant, honestly, I think he should probably be a full tile larger.
Well, I can't really make him any bigger. These are the character models that they let you use for the AI controlled enemies.
Okay.
I mean, I suppose if he was the only brute on the map, that would make sense, and that everybody else would just be like one of these skinny shrimpy guys that you would be running into. So that by comparison, he would be a giant.
But even then, the brutes are only like 50% larger than the standard zombies pair that we've been seeing.
Yeah, they're just stock. They're stockier. They got more muscle. Well, and also giving him 5,000 health. 5,000 is the maximum number of hit points that you can give a zombie. Well, I shouldn't say that, because you also can apply a multiplier to your damage, and you can make it greater than or less than 1. So you could make it so that you're dealing only, like, 10% the damage you're supposed to, or 20%. That would make a boss fight like this feel like he has 50,000 health.
I noticed, however, that... wow, you actually wanted. But I noticed that one of the projectile throwers apparently fell through the floor.
That's his problem. I don't know.
All right, then.
I mean, if it makes it easier, because it may take you a couple tries to defeat the Frost Giant, and then because you could just parachute in and then go right to the front door, you can't land onto the arena itself with because you have to take the teleporter in. And also that because when you die, you get outside of his spawn range, so he despawns. Despawns don't count as kills, so he despawns, he gets all his health back, and you have to start the whole boss fight all over again. Very Dark Souls. And this has been Fortnite Creative. I look forward to showing another map at a later time. It's not going to be quite as extensive as this one. I wanted this one to emulate what a 3-player situation would look like as done by 1 player. And hope it sparked a little inspiration in your own creative endeavors.
Be safe, everybody.